All right, what about the Chris Wormley? It was weird, man. A Baltimore Raven trade. I'm like, whoa, hey, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? And then it's like,
who's got the upper hand?
You're right.
Who knows what they're doing?
And then it's like we're over here watching. I'm watching the tapes on him, like trying to see. Like, let me like really watch the dude to see what type of player he is, body type, and all that. I'm like, oh, this is Ravens, and like you see a highlight, and he's like playing against Steelers. And you're like, whoa, hey, I don't know how I feel about this right now, man. But good player though. I think he's definitely a good player, young guy. I know some people were saying that he could potentially play nose guard, or nose tackle to replace Hargrave. That's not happening, not consistently. He's just not the body type for that. He's more of the Cam Hayward type body type. So I definitely think he's a good athlete, though. It was productive. It's gonna be interesting to see how he's used here, though, obviously with Tua coming back. But the thing is, on the D-line, they rotate, so he's still going to see snaps. He's still going to have that chance to have impact. I just think that when people were assuming that he's going to go right in and start as a nose tackle, I don't see that at all. I understand, like, that they're, he's a big guy, that's a big guy, just put him right there, bulk him up. Like, nah, it's kind of like saying, hey, take that outside linebacker, take Bud Dupree and put him at the inside linebacker. It just doesn't work like that, man. But I do think he can be productive. He plays with great pad level. I love his hand usage. Also, oddly enough, like even when he's getting blocked, he's still very active in terms of swatting passes. Think about like J.J. Watt. Like he has a lot of that on his tape. So I definitely thought he was very ball aware. So just seeing all those things definitely made me encouraged. Obviously, he was playing on a top-notch defense in Baltimore. So I'm like, man, if you can start for them, if you can make plays for them, then, hey, you're coming to a defense that we felt was better. You know what I mean? Now, you can have a conversation if you're in Baltimore who you think is better, but we personally feel we're better. So just seeing that, I do think that's a huge addition in terms of the depth, in terms of keeping those guys fresh, and in terms of having just quality players with good pedigree.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny, though, because I see one reaction. I think it's Baltimore people. I saw something on a tweet where they're like, Baltimore's playing chess while the rest of the league and the Steelers are playing checkers.
And then I seen the Steelers say the same thing.
So who do you believe?
Right.
We'll figure it out.
When in doubt, I go to the tape. That's my biggest thing, man.
So you said he's solid, though.
Yeah, either way.
Worth the 5th round pick.
I mean, yeah, it can't hurt. Because the thing is this, you still going to need that depth anyways, and at least you have something. I tell you, I'm more prone to taking something that's proven than hopping in the draft and hoping that I can strike lightning, because it's very rare that you draft players consistently, especially in the back end, and they produce. I know everybody's gonna say, well, they did AB, but it's like for every AB, I can name all 5 or 6 guys. I mean, we had the other podcast where I was naming all these other linebackers that was supposed to come and teach and how they didn't even last. Because it's hard. I mean, it's very rare that guys in the later rounds come in and are able to substantially impact your roster. Whereas this is a guy who's been productive. So even though if you're the Ravens, why would you be giving him up? He has what I think is 1 year left on his deal before you have to pay him. So that could be a reason. Obviously, they just brought in Calais Campbell and Michael Brockers. So it's like now this dude becomes essentially not a liability, but we don't need him as much. Because we have our 2 stars. We have our 2 guys who are going to be out there playing the majority of the time. So if you're the Steelers, you're saying, well, hey, look, man, we obviously don't have anybody to back up to it in Cam. I mean, you got Tyson Alualu, obviously, but he's older now. So you want to have somebody that you could potentially groom, somebody that you could potentially get in your system for a year. If it works out, extend him. But then also you're taking away a talented player from somebody in the division. And there's no guarantee that Calais Campbell and Michael Brockers are going to come into Baltimore and just dominate right now, because their offseason program, in terms of them getting up to speed, is going to be slacked a little bit. And you're asking those guys to go in there and start day one. Whereas when you're looking at Wormley, he's coming here to rotate. So he's not going to have that pressure of having to know everything day one and come out there and be the day one starter. So I think that helps him out a ton. And I think when you're looking at giving up a 5th rounder, but you're getting that player plus a 7th rounder, I think it was an even trade-off for both. Baltimore people, they might view him differently. It could be kind of like how when we view certain players, right? We're like, I mean, he's good, but he ain't like that. But that's because we see him every day.
Yeah.
Whereas you talk to other teams that don't see him, they're like, dude, that dude's a dog. Like, we love him. Similar to how I'm sure if you look on Colts Twitter right now, the way we are about Eron, they're over there like, I mean, he's good, but boy, I tell you, man, he can't do this or he sucks at that. But it's because they see him every day.
I feel like if they had luck, though, they'd be a little more disappointed.
All I'm simply saying is it's all about a perspective, man. When you see something every day, sometimes it doesn't hold the same value to you. Whereas for us, we like Wormley. Like, man, come on over here, come get some of that. Those guys, they see him every day. They're like, man, you can have that, man. We ain't tripping. That's all I'm saying, man.
From what you were saying, though, it seems like we're the ones playing chess. Based off of Campbell and Brockers having to come in the off season, and we got this guy coming in as more of a
but I will say this though. We can say all this chess checkers you want, all them analogies. If I was picking which players I wanted between,
right,
that's all I'm saying.
Right,
but it ain't that hard.
But we have Tuitt and Hayward though.
I'm with you, bro. So yeah, for us it's like a depth thing. For them though, they're like, hey man, we don't have to worry about the contract situation that could potentially come up in a year from now. We don't have to worry about that, and we're getting a draft pick on top of it.
Makes sense for both sides.
Yeah.
Now, here's my question though about the whole D tackle depth.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously he's not coming in just to jump in there and start.
Correct.
Who can do that? Can Alu do that or no?
Do what?
Is it just simply Bugs who we have right now on the roster
to be the starting nose tackle?
Yeah.
More than likely it's going to be Bugs.
But can
Alu?
Yeah, that's
body
my question.
Type
Can
he probably could get away with it, but it's different when you're talking about using a person like that sparingly versus using a person like that as like they major in this role. I can ask you to go out and do something one or two times and hey, I might be able to get away with it situationally. Okay, well, I know they're going to do this right here. I'm banking on play action. Let's put Tyson. He's a better pass rusher. Okay, it's 1st and 10 or 2nd and short might be run down. All right, let's get Bugs in there. But if you're asking if you're asking Tyson to do that every snap, now it's different because now I'm able to scheme it up. Now I'm able to say, you know what? When they put Deke in there, man, chip him with the guard. That'll change all that. It would. And it's that simple. Whereas when you play in the game where you know, okay, man, they not about to chip. This is about to be a pass situation. All right, get Deke out there.
Yeah.
Like, you see what I mean? So just in that regard, it's a little different. Bugs is probably the one who you can put out there every snap, but that's going to depend largely on his work ethic right now. Because I told you that was always the knock on him as well. Very talented, but at the same time gets lazy. So if they can get that, because also Big Dan's on the roster as well. That's another dude. I mean, if you talk about who could be the guy, they've been hoping Big Dan could be the guy. Dan McCullers were talking about. They've been hoping he could be the guy for the past 5-6 years now. But it's inconsistency in his game. And when it's inconsistent, it's hard to put that guy out there consistently because you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, it's times where I've seen him dominate all pro centers, just manhandle them. And there's nothing they could do about it. But then I've seen times where subpar at best athletes go out here and work him, move him off the ball. And you're like, if you're inside linebacker, how am I supposed to move and read if you're all the way in my lap? That's the issue. So it all depends on those guys and their work ethic, man, in terms of Big Dan, in terms of Isaiah Bugs. If they can come out here and show from day one that they're committed to this thing, if they can show that they're ready to be legit players in this league and get paid, because you saw Javon Hargrave got paid. We've been telling Dan for years, man, you're a $100 million guy if you go out here and do what you do. But it's all about those guys deciding to do it.
Do you feel good about them too, or you think we're going to address it in the draft?
I still think it's something that anybody look to in the draft just because you want to bring in somebody that's going to push them. Somebody's going to make them hungry. Or even if you don't go draft, you could always go unrestricted free agents. Like once the draft is over. So I think that's something that they're going to address just because.
Later though, as opposed to.
Wait, the thing is, you don't necessarily have to address it right now. Just because when you look at the way the game is played, you still play a lot of sub package ball, which is why when we talk about priorities, you would prioritize a pass rusher over Hargrave because Hargrave is predominantly a nose. But now he's going to get his chance to play as a 3 technique and rush the passer or even a 1 and stuff like that. But traditionally, nose tackles don't play that many snaps. The days of Casey Hamptons and Vince Wilforks are over. Like those positions are viewed as like dinosaurs now. They're kind of like fullbacks. Like some teams still use them, but they're not using these guys 40, 50 snaps. Like, nah, it's more 15 to 20 snaps.
I got you.
Yeah, so you don't address that need early if you don't have to. And you still do have 2 capable guys in Dan McCullers and Isaiah Bugs. Now, from there, if you want to bring in somebody else, like I said, to spice it up a little bit, to make them feel like they have to compete, make them have that sense of urgency, well, that's different. But you don't do that necessarily early in the draft. That's 6th, 7th round or unrestricted free agents.
Cool. All right. yeah, just wanted to get a gauge on that. And I'm with you. I like the move just for depth reasons, and I don't think it really hurts.